Good evening, everyone. Happy St. Patrick's Day. And I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the New Canaan Board of Education this Monday, March 17th, 2025. If we can all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great, thank you. Next, I'd like to get a motion to review and approve the agenda for March 17th, 2025. Can I get a motion, please? Phil, second. Julie, all in favor? Excellent. And then next, we'll approve the minutes for March 3rd, 2025. Can I get a motion, please? Julie, second. Matt, all in favor? Great, thank you. Abstain. And next, Arts and Education Month. We're fortunate enough to have another student performance and very excited about it. So what do we got?
Good evening. I am going to speak on behalf of Mrs. Newell. We're going to begin tonight with two students from our high school band ensemble who will be performing, and I'm happy to introduce Nick Shayna and Allison Stiles, and Allison will be introducing our song this evening.
So we'll be playing Someday My Prince Will Come, which is a jazz tune. So yeah.
Thank you. I did let the students know that they could leave after they perform, that they do not need to stay for the rest of the meeting. But I did want to apologize that Mr. Zhao is not here, who was our band director, but he is on stage right now working with the crew for Les Mis, which will begin on Thursday evening. In addition to the two music performances that you've had an opportunity to hear at the last board meeting and this board meeting, we also wanted to honor our visual and performing arts as well this evening. So through activities like painting, sculpture, drawing, filming, and photography, students have the opportunity to explore new ways of thinking and communicating. Visual arts allows our children to express their ideas, emotions, and experiences in unique and personal ways, while also developing critical skills such as spatial awareness, craftsmanship, and perseverance. In addition to enhancing cognitive abilities, the process of creating arts help students build self-confidence, improve problem-solving skills, and encourage an appreciation for diverse perspectives. In honor of this special month, each board member will receive a framed piece of artwork from our students in New Canaan Public Schools in a meaningful tribute to the impact of visual arts on our young learners. You may be familiar with the artist. You might want to check the names out on the photos over there. We also have printed a special print for Dr. Lutzy of the eclipse that we thought, with your love of the dome, would be a perfect addition for your office. By supporting fine arts in our public schools, we are ensuring that creativity continues to thrive, fostering well-rounded individuals who are prepared to think critically and innovate in the world around them. And Penny, although you do not have a student here at the high school, we have selected a beautiful piece for you as well. So thank you.
That's awesome. Thank you very much. Kind of speechless. Very excited to get over there. But anyway, thank you. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much.
You guys can tackle. Thank you so much.
Wonderful job. Thank you.
All right. Let me follow that up. Comments from the public. I haven't read the whole thing in a while, so I always kind of skip to the last part, but tonight I think maybe I'll read the whole thing. Board of Education expects, comments from public, Board of Education expects mutual respect, civility, and orderly conduct among all individuals on school property, at school events, and in communications with district employees. The board encourages positive communication and discourages volatile, hostile, or aggressive language or actions. The Board of Education meetings are meetings held in public, not public meetings, and the board requests compliance with all meeting rules and expectations. Board seeks public cooperation with this endeavor, and I thank you in advance. And to ensure the public's right to be heard, the board set aside time during this meeting for public comments. 2 minutes will be allotted each speaker and a maximum of 15 on each subject. Anybody like to approach the board? All right.
Do you want to have the little guys go first?
Oh, what do you think?
Yeah. Why don't
Yeah.
you guys go first?
Thank you.
Field Trips by Teddy Staples, Connor Toll, Lucy Toll, and Harold Staples for Weston Elementary School students.
Where we've been. Connor Toll, 3rd grade, went to the New Canaan High School auditorium. Lucy Toll, 2nd grade, she only went to the strings room inside the school for a presentation from the Connecticut River Museum. Harold Staples, 2nd grade, he only went to the strings room twice for a presentation from the New Canaan Nature Center and the Connecticut River Museum. Teddy Staples, 4th grade, the Cabaret Theater and the New Canaan Nature Center.
Where we'd like to go. The Bronx Zoo, Ellis Island, the Connecticut River Museum, the Pequot Museum, the Natural History Museum, the Mystic Aquarium, the Maritime Museum, Wall Street, New York City, the Hartford State House, and Boston.
Why these field trips are necessary. These field trips are necessary because they all benefit the learning of all the kids at West, East, and South. This is because Ellis Island, for example, helps 4th graders learn more about immigration, and immigration is the first social studies unit for 4th grade. More so, the Pequot Museum helps 1st graders learn more about about Northeastern Native Americans, more specifically the Pequots.
how to make these trips possible. We know these field trips are expensive, so we can create a fundraiser each year. All that money can go to the public elementary schools of New Canaan to pay for the field trips. The fundraiser could be a bake sale, school merchandise sale, wrapping paper sale, etc. We could also allocate some of the money from next year's budget to school field trips.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, and happy St. Patrick's Day.
Thank you so much. Next, I think you had another one. Thank you.
It's an extremely tough act to follow. Good evening. My name is Jen Potter. I live on Mill Road. I wanted to express my opposition to the seeming push for parent-directed curriculum decisions. At the last meeting, a community member questioned why we should rely on experts and institutions, suggesting that the community knows what's best for our children. While this sentiment may resonate with some, it overlooks a critical reality, which is that no community is wholly aligned in ideology. Our diversity of perspectives makes it impossible to craft a curriculum that satisfies everyone's individual beliefs. This is precisely why we must rely on trained educators and established institutions, professionals who are equipped to design curricula that meet academic standards and serve all students equitably. We often take for granted how much we depend on institutions every day, from clean drinking water to safe roads and reliable emergency services. These systems are built on expertise and collective trust, and education should be no different. It requires the same level of professionalism and evidence-based decision-making. Finally, I'd like to respectfully remind the board that there is a significant contingent in this community who strongly oppose increased parental involvement in curriculum design, particularly when opt-out options are already available for families who wish to exclude their children from specific materials. This ensures individual choice without compromising the integrity of the curriculum for everyone else. I urge the board to prioritize expert-led decision-making for our schools and resist the efforts to politicize or fragment our children's education. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else like to approach the board? No? Okay. All right, moving on to reports and recognition. First, staffing and enrollment update with Ms. Bianca.
Ditto on the tough act to follow. Thanks so much for the opportunity to share some information with you this evening regarding the work of the Human Resources Department in terms of enrollment and hiring. You have a handout in front of you on the first page of which is our current projected enrollment for next year, and that information is captured as of March 15th, last week. You can see here the numbers for each grade level and each school. The total projected enrollment for next year is 4,008 students. And our projection, our demographer's projection, was 3,997 students. So at this point, we're pretty close. And just for some reference information, at this time last year, the projected enrollment for pre-K through 12 was 4,079. And our demographer projected 4,101. So, and also our actual enrollment as of October 1st, which I mentioned to you when I was here in November, was 4,103, just for some comparison there. So that's where we are as of last week. And we are, just so that you know, we're monitoring it closely, and probably in another couple of weeks, we'll begin to meet fairly regularly to look at the numbers and analyze them and have some discussion and report back to you on that. Moving forward, just for your information, before we talk about hiring, we have so far this year 5 retirements. We had 4 before the weekend. We had 1 more this morning. And as a reference point, last year there were 8 certified staff retirements. And just so that you're aware, most of the retirements were notified by April 1st because there is a sum of money that's associated with reporting early by contract. But we do receive retirement notifications later on in the spring, sometimes even through the summer, depending on what someone's unanticipated life events are. But we keep monitoring that and know the number. To give you an idea of what our current vacancies are, for next year at New Canaan High School, we have, at this point, an art teacher position open, a school counselor, a special education teacher, a psychologist, and a social studies teacher specializing in higher level economics classes. At Saks, we have a grade 5 teacher opening. We have 2 positions in French. By the way, I'll talk about all this in a second. I just want to let you know what they are. At West, we have a preschool teacher position that's currently open. We have a resignation in kindergarten, so we routinely will post elementary positions kind of in a general way to see which applications we get, so that if at some point in the near future we have more openings on the elementary level for some reason that's unanticipated, we'll have a pool to choose from, and the administrators are always looking at those openings and vying for the best candidates. It's kind of fun to watch. We also have a district level position that's currently open of a psychologist. That's a shared position across the district. And just so that you know, hiring for next school year is underway much earlier this year than in previous years. And many of the positions that I just reviewed will be selecting a finalist within the next 2 weeks. So a lot of them are in process. They've gone to committee. They've done their demonstration lesson or a task for a group, and they're closing in on the second round of interviews. And I talk to principals at least every week, each principal, to see where they are in the search. So after that, they'll be sent to my office for approval, or depending on the position, if it's a higher level position, they will have an interview with Dr. Lutzy and the cabinet. And this process is a bit earlier this year, just so that you're aware, in the interest of, from our perspective, securing the best candidates in what now, depending on the position, could be a really shallow pool. So we thought we'd get started earlier. It's done providing that we have a candidate that meets our expectations. So just because we're starting early, if we don't see what we need, then it goes back out and we wait, and people make calls, and we keep at it until we find just what we're looking for. So I don't want you to think this is an attempt to get it done quickly and make sure we have all the positions hired. We still have our standards and our process, and we keep searching until we find the right candidate. As I mentioned in the Friday notes to you, last week we trained several of the district administrators and managers, and the areas that we were represented are in the slide there. Some of them have joined us in the recent past, and we don't do the training every year, so or just because we thought a refresher would be a good idea. And the topics ranged from screening all the way to retention. I spent almost an hour and 20 minutes with a group of 15 or 16 people. We also talked about what we're looking for in candidates, some of the details of that, how do you know, and went over each step of the process, which is quite rigorous. And I know I've told you this before. And as I've said to you before, one of my favorite comments that we get from people who are hired is, that was the toughest experience I've ever had in hiring, but it was great. It showed me who you all were as a district, and everybody was so nice, even though it was really hard. So, I mean, I think that's a very high-level compliment, and all of our candidates feel that way. And as I said, a performance task is typically designed for each of the candidates. If it's a teacher or any other position, people come up with a scenario that they want someone to respond to. sometimes in writing and in conversation, depending on what the position is. In the conversation with the leaders, we stress that retention is really now more important than ever for our qualified staff. In terms of the support and coaching that's provided, we've talked a lot in our budget discussions around the coaching piece. You know all about that, so I won't go on about that. But you know, the importance of professional relationships that they have with all of their staff, from food service workers, custodians, security, to teaching assistants, to certified staff, how important those relationships are, and the classroom visits that they make, and or if it's not a teaching position, the observational experiences for all the staff in their buildings is really, really important. We talked about that. Again, both in an informal, and you also know all about our formal ways of observing and evaluating people that are well-designed and happen over the course of the school year. And with a stress toward really meeting the standards for the New Canaan Public Schools. So we had a lot of conversation about that issue and what we need here as opposed to other places. And that point I'm making because some of the leadership staff that we hire are from other places, and we're different, so we make that point. And then the last thing that we talked a lot about with them is hiring success. So how do you know that that the people that you're hiring are have been, you know, that our process has been successful in who we've secured? And typically, as stated in the slide, it's a high-performing staff with a desire to constantly improve, who enjoy their work. And that's it, encapsulated version of it. Wherever possible, we prefer a degree of longevity. You all know that last year was a banner new teacher induction year. We're hoping that that's not the case in the future, and trends happen. We had, you know, some people retire, some people move away, but we're really hoping that all of the new hires are really happy and doing well, and they're the right people that we've selected, so they're going to stay and have a career in New Canaan, and you know, to try and make sure that's happening, and that they have what they need. Finally, by all measures and reputation, and you know all about all the measures and how our kids are performing and what our reputation is, to really look toward excellence in our schools, both in terms of how the students perform, but also in terms of our school culture and what do our buildings like, and how do our staff experience them. Ultimately, it's all about the kids. But you know, what is that school culture like, and is it warm and welcoming and professional and doing all the things that we need to do to make kids comfortable, but also to help staff, to support staff, and to create an environment that they want to stay in. So that was the week. And you know, I'm really, really optimistic. As I said, I think all of the administrators that I'm talking to are finding good candidates. I think except if it's, you know, a really difficult area, as in special education or some of the helping professions such as school psychologists. But we've also been doing well with those areas so far this year, and we're well on the way to hiring some special education staff and 2 psychologists. So I'm excited. That's not to say that 3 weeks from now we couldn't have some surprise resignations or people who've decided to move or whatever happens. But I think kind of front-loading the process and trying to get as much done as possible will help us when it comes time, if we have other needs that pop up, you know, to get those needs met. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you very much. Brendan?
Is there anything that we identify in doing exit interviews or otherwise that gives us a sense as to anything we need to improve upon, or anything that we can tell from those discussions over the years?
Yes, so Dr. Lutzy and I, as we had mentioned to you all, had gone around and met with all the new teachers at every building in the fall, late fall. And there were some common themes. The one that stands out to me was the support. From their administrators, but also from the design of the coaching positions, that everyone talked about that, their relationships with their principals and assistant principals and the school culture piece of it. The fact that they felt really comfortable asking questions. We were both very pleasantly surprised by the openness, the comments, the dialogue went on and on. And one would think if you're sitting in front of the superintendent, I might not be as, whatever, but that, you'd be a little nervous or, but they were very forward in their conversation and identifying things that, they thought they needed when they came in and that those needs were met. I can't remember any unmet needs. No, seriously, I'm trying to think.
Well, 2 years ago, when we had the conversations, to be fair, right? 2 years ago, when we were having similar meetings, something that emerged was a desire to get more involved with the curriculum earlier. And then Dr. Krenti and the team put together an
summer, that's
opportunity
right.
in the summer
Right.
for new teachers to spend a week learning the curriculum, going deep. So we have learned quite a bit from those conversations as well.
Yeah. They felt like walking into the school year, they had a lot of orientation on the systems in place that they needed to know about, the tech system and the curriculum at, broad strokes, but that they really wanted to be able to walk into their classrooms knowing a lot more details about the lesson piece of it. And, we provided that, so.
Thanks for this, Darlene. A
Of
question about retention.
Yeah.
So do we have specific retention metrics? I mean, can we see how they vary from school to school and also how we compare to the rest of the DIRG?
Yeah, no, we haven't formally looked at that data. We have conversations all the time as a cabinet about it. And as I said, last year was a little bit of a different year in terms of the number of new teachers. I was actually hearing, we have human resources directors meetings, and I think I mentioned this in the fall. There were all of the districts around us began the year with open positions. And I'm not talking just one, I'm talking 4, 5, 6 open positions. We had every position filled when the year started. That's the metric that I just, used broadly. And in my conversations with them, it seems like that's continued. So as far as data goes, we have the numbers of new staff every year. We have the numbers of retirements. We have by year, we have all of the comparatives of number of students and number of staff. So, we do have all that, and we do look at it intermittently, as recently as this morning.
But that's not part, and I know it's a small sample size, so I guess any sort of, there are a lot of variables that go into why someone decides to leave, right? Moving, spouses, jobs, and things like that. But I was trying to figure out if there's any themes that we could pick up on from school to school,
Yeah.
right, within the district, if that's incorporated in the LEPL, for example, so the retention metrics, if that's incorporated in LEPL as we evaluate the administrators.
So one of the other things that I do that I neglected to mention is I have an exit interview with, it's offered for any staff member, certified staff member who's leaving. And the themes that came out of that in the last year were a couple of things. One was commute. They had decided that the distance and the traveling and the amount of time precluded them from being able to, these are typically people who have young children, be there in the mornings and be there in the afternoons for the events that they wanted to attend around their kids. So the ones that I had spoken to got jobs in local districts upstate. More often than not, it's about quality of life these days. Those are trends that you read about with every profession. And that is one example of that. But generally, other than that, people are really happy to be here. They feel they're compensated well. Thank you for the negotiation of the new teacher contract. It's all been really helpful, and I'm hoping that it has a good impact for the future.
Can you give a little more detail on the resignation of the kindergarten teacher at West? I mean, that feels pretty atypical to get that kind of during the middle of a school year.
Yeah, so this is a situation where the individual has decided that they want to take a position closer to home, I think, so.
Was
They
it-
know that now.
So this isn't like a teacher that wasn't supported, this is
No.
not like a brand-new teacher who,
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
It's actually someone who's been here for some time.
Oh.
Great, thank you so much, Darlene.
Of course.
All right, next, budget update. Dr. Lutzy.
Sure. Thank you. So as the board is aware, we are preparing our presentation for the town council tomorrow evening at 7 o'clock. We are first up on the agenda at 7. Thank you, Hugo, for that conversation. In preparation, we're adapting our existing presentation to include some of the updated information and to be responsive to the wishes of the town council, right? They've asked us in conversation, again, Hugo, thank you for having that conversation. With the chair, they've asked to try to tighten it up as much as we can and try to focus and get to conversation as quickly as possible. So we're happy to oblige as best we can. Of course, as anyone who's seen it knows, we love telling the story of our district because it's such a great story to tell. So we'll balance the needs, and I'm sure it'll be very successful. We've received 36 questions from the town council so far, and we've begun working on those. The biggest area of interest seems to be staffing, with 20 of the 36 questions. Additionally, there are questions related to insurance, the federal funding impacts, salary and benefits, enrollment, and what they're calling post-Board of Finance questions, which appear to be clarifying questions about the decisions made during the Board of Finance's deliberations. Typically, our first evening, as you're aware, is spent in an overview of the budget with the town council. Having watched the meeting last week, though, as I said, I know they're anxious to get into the Q&A, so we'll be as prepared as we need to be for that. After tomorrow night's presentation, we return a week later on March 25th with the town council at 7 o'clock. And then the following week after that, on April 1st, April Fool's Day, is the town council public hearing. And on Thursday, April 3rd, the town council will vote on the board's budget and the town's budget, and that'll be the end of the 25-26 budget approval gauntlet, so to speak. The budget continues to resource our main priorities, as you're aware, including maintaining our class size guidelines, investing in exemplary professional practice, and providing students with high leverage support. Additionally, the Board of Finance has approved the appropriation of funding the scoreboard at $201,000. The request now goes to the town council for their consideration. The final quote came in a little bit higher at $215,000, give or take. So as the process has unfolded, Jay Egan's been speaking with the All Sports Booster Club, and Bill Egan's been having a similar conversation with the high school PFA about some fundraising and some donation through them. So in the end, the new scoreboard will be another example of the great partnership between the town and the community, parents, and school. And I saw a mock-up of it today, and it looks wonderful. The last piece was during that process, we also were able to make some adjustments in our capital request, as you know. So between the capital requests, the insurance deposit, and the operating budget, we've been able to respond to the Board of Finance's requests and desires, and we look forward to having a similar conversation with the town council. So that starts tomorrow night.
Thank you very much. Questions, comments? No, thank you. All right. Sean O'Keefe, you're up.
Good evening. So we're 8 months into the year. As of the end of February, we're at $65.9 million, or 60.3% of our full-year budget of $109.1. That 60.3 compares to the prior year attainment at this point of 57.4, so a 2.9 difference, which is at first a little alarming. As we dug down, we realized that last year, we normally make 2 payments to DATCO, one in October, one in February. Last year, the second one was made in March. So we paid it in February this year. So we're ahead of schedule, so to speak. That accounts for about 2.3 points of the 2.9. So that will self-correct in March. So it'll be a lot closer. There was also, to a smaller extent, some timing differences in outsourced services and contract services, which have not a major effect on that. Grants awarded to date, $2,087,000. Year-to-date expenditures of $641,000. Remaining balance as of February 28, $1,445,975. In school lunch, revenue totals $1,755,411, or 57% of our budget of $3,086.5, and a year-to-year decrease of 3.9%. The decrease year-to-year is primarily a shift, as I mentioned earlier, in the last 2 months, change in the shift in the mix of sales into more meals, less expensive meals, into more meals and less sandwiches and snacks. In addition, as reported in January, our free and reduced population year to year has increased from 130 to 162, contributing to a loss of revenue year to year. On the expense side, through February, our actual is $1,680,000, or 59% of our budget, and a year-to-year increase of $132,000, or 8%. This is primarily attributable to budgeted items. Increase in salaries, $32,000. Equipment is up $35,000. We didn't spend any equipment money last year. And in groceries and beverage and dairy, another $69,000. Net income through February is a positive $75,174, resulting in a fund balance over $900,000. In facilities rental donations in summer school, facilities rentals revenue of $158,000, expenses of $167,000, net income minus $8,000, with a fund balance of a positive $318,302. In donations, revenue of $124,000, expenses $185,000, net income minus $61,000, and a fund balance of positive $117,031. And finally, summer school revenue, $125,000, expenses of $133,000, net income minus $8,000, and a current fund balance of $163,000. And since we did a capital update last month, the next one will be in May. Questions?
I'm wondering if you have any idea why there's been a switch in the mix of the lunches. And I did notice that the newsletters at Saks have promoted all of the options in our cafeteria, so I can see that as being helpful in terms of reminding parents of all the options that are available for students. I'm just wondering if we have any more information on why students have maybe made a shift away from.
The only thing that comes close to answering that question is there's a lot more parent involvement in choosing not only what kids are purchasing, but how much they're spending. So parents are coming in and putting in limits as to how much they can spend. Those are the two contributing factors that I believe are happening.
Okay, and is that a result of technology that we're using that allows functionality that we hadn't had before? Or
No,
what?
it's-
Parents are just more aware that they can place these limits, and they are placing these
Exactly,
limits?
exactly. Yep.
Interesting.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, no action items. Moving back on to comments from the public. Would anybody like to approach the board? No? Okay, and then moving on to announcements and future business.
Sure. Excuse me. As we know, today's St. Patrick's Day, so I hope everyone is enjoying their corned beef and cabbage. And Bill, nice job with the green. I don't know what happened to O'Keefe over there, but all right. Well, this Italian's representing. And speaking of, if you forgot today, you can remember Wednesday, St. Joseph's Day, which you might not be eating corned beef and cabbage, but you can enjoy a delicious St. Joseph's pastry. And red is the color, by the way. And I do want to provide the board with a quick update on our work with the English department here at the high school. Since the fall, the department's been doing yeoman's work, reviewing the titles used in our program and ensuring that each is aligned with the grade level standards and is appropriate for the grade in which it's being taught. Additionally, the department's been sending letters home to families prior to starting each new unit, and the letters include the unit's focus, the standards taught and addressed, and the resources, including the books used in that unit. If parents have any questions after reading the letters, they're encouraged to reach out to the teachers directly. And thus far, parents have provided nothing but gratitude and positive feedback for these increased communications. It's gone very well. Along with those letters home, the syllabus for every class is also available on our website for anyone who wants to take a look. and it's reviewed with parents at back-to-school night in the beginning of the school year. Interesting, we learned through conversations with parents and the teachers that although the syllabus for each class is reviewed at the start of the school year during open house, parents typically were not taking hard copies when they left the classroom. Teachers would leave a stack, but the parents would walk right past. Open house, as you know if you've been to high school open house, consists of 10-minute blocks for each period, so the teachers have a chance to just give an overview, but they really don't have enough time to give a comprehensive review of the syllabus that's there. So we're going to change our protocols a little bit next year, and our teachers are going to encourage parents to take home a hard copy as they go in all disciplines for all of our syllabus. All of our syllabi. So although it might cost us a few more trees, I think it will help so people have that information at hand. Our teachers do a great job putting their syllabus together for each of the classes that they teach, and we think it's a great reference for folks. So we're very pleased with the work that the department's been doing so far this year in response to the questions that were raised, and I'm confident they'll succeed in their efforts to ensure that the dialogue between parents, students, teachers remains open and collaborative. And again, we welcome all feedback and comments and any thoughts might have, and I thought the board would like a brief update on where we are with all of that. I also do want to share some other more fun things like the Carriage Barn Art Show. So I had the pleasure of attending the opening of the Carriage Barn Art Show last week. The show, it displays the amazing artwork that our students are doing here at the high school. And it's going to be up for about 2 more weeks over at the Carriage Barn. So if you have a chance to swing by, please do so. You'll be amazed by our students' talents. And speaking thereof, we mentioned Barry before. He's in the auditorium right now, working through the music and the score for Les Mis for the high school show. The opening night is Thursday night at 7 o'clock here at the high school. It'll run Thursday night, Friday night, and then a matinee on Saturday, and Saturday night will be the final show at 7 o'clock. Hopefully you can make it. It's going to be an amazing show. And finally, the New Canaan Scholarship, New Canaan High School Scholarship Fund ball drop is taking place this Saturday at 10 o'clock. And you probably know that because you've probably received the 35 emails that I've been receiving. But they're excited about it and really want to encourage people to participate. So Hugo and I will be accompanying John Howe in a helicopter as we fly over Waveney Park and drop 2,000 numbered golf balls, or balls, I don't know if they're golf balls, balls from the sky. The closest to the targets will be the winners. And the foundation has worked hard to put in a great list of prizes together. So if you haven't purchased a ball yet, they're still available. You can go right to their website. It's NCHS-SF.org. And 100% of the proceeds will be donated to needs-based college scholarships for high school graduates. So the New Canaan Scholarship Foundation, it's an outstanding organization that helps many of our students, especially our neediest, with the struggle to afford college. So, and whether or not you purchase a ball, you're welcome to join us at Waveney at 10 o'clock on Saturday. And Hugo and I will be in the sky. Are you nervous?
Terrified.
Yeah. Good. It'll be a lot of fun. So hopefully we'll see you there. Thanks.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much for the update, Dr. Lutzy, on all of it, and I appreciate the progress report as well. All right. Any questions, comments from anybody else? All right. And motion to adjourn, please. Phil, second. Brendan, all in favor? Awesome. Thanks.
Great. Thanks.